coordination with GOHSEP. We understand where their gaps and their seams are and when they will require the assistance of the state. And we're prepared to step in and help our local communities at that time. We're working closely with FEMA and prepared for this current hurricane season. The logistics apparatus that kicks in from FEMA normally when state resources are overwhelmed has been validated and pledged to us. We have commodities not only here staged in the state, but regionally at our disposal should we need them. So in closing, I would just like to say that GOHSEP, as a state agency, is prepared for this hurricane season. The plans that have been rehearsed and are in place have been refined and are ready on the days where the state will need us, and on the state, on behalf of the citizens, on their worst day. So as the governor said, and I'll reemphasize it, if you haven't already developed a plan, getagameplan.org or the Get a Game Plan app is a fantastic resource for you not only to receive alerts in real time, but also to develop your plan should you need help in developing one. So thank you. I'll be followed by Jay Grimes.
Governor, General. Well, thank you for the invitation, Governor, to speak here. Just a couple of things. First of all, most of you are aware the forecast for the upcoming season calls for normal to above normal activity. Those kinds of numbers, though, really don't tell the story here. And I'm not here to alarm you. This is about awareness. Let's look at Louisiana's recent history. In the last 5 years, the state has been hit by 8 named storms. That includes 5 hurricanes, 3 of which were major hurricanes. That's the last 5 years. If we look back over the last 8 years, 4 of those years were years where we had 2 or more strikes. Now, that doesn't mean that every neighborhood gets impacted, but it means that the entire state has to go on alert. And so that's why I want to reiterate what both the governor and the general have mentioned about personal responsibility. Your personal preparedness makes it better and makes it easier for these agencies that help the state respond and recover from these events. Your personal awareness gets us through that. So just keep in mind, Louisiana is indeed a hotspot for hurricane activity. We are just as active as Florida, we just don't have the same length of coastline. So now is the time, in the fair weather conditions, to review your plans. Use your experience over the last 5 years to get yourself prepared for what is very likely going to be another active year in the Gulf of Mexico. Last year, there were 18 named storms. Almost half of them ended up in the Gulf. And each one of those, the state has to start a response activity. So make it easier for the state, make it easier for yourself, make it easier on your family. Get prepared now. Thank you, Governor.
And again, in closing, I want the citizens of Louisiana to know that as or should storms begin to approach our coast or as activity heats up in the Gulf, we will continue to make sure that they are informed with the latest information as we get them. That's why we have Jay here. Again, though, it's easier for us to push that information to you if you sign up at getagameplan.org or if you download that app. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Ladies first.
Good afternoon. General Moffett, you mentioned FEMA, but Governor, you would be aware, in general, you would be aware that at the federal level, the president wants to eliminate FEMA, rework it. Does the state have an idea what FEMA will look like as we move into the heart of hurricane season?
Look, I've spoken at length with Secretary Nome and those folks over at the White House. I will tell you that our Region 6 FEMA Director, Tony Robertson, is a very experienced FEMA official. And I do not believe that the president or the White House has any intention of revamping FEMA while hurricane season is in play. However, I do believe that should a state be impacted, or say a state like Louisiana be impacted by a major hurricane, that the ability to have some flexibility in the way that FEMA handles that response, you may see that. you may see action from the White House that creates more flexibilities with states. I think that all the president is trying to do is to make sure that the resources are available to the states, or that the state has the ability of actual mission control and the authority to be able to act quickly. What we have seen from the time of Katrina through now is that the bureaucracy inside the federal government has a tendency to tangle things up. So I'm extremely confident that if we have, or if we are impacted by a major hurricane, that the communications that we have up at the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA and the White House and our congressional delegation will ensure that Louisianans will receive the resources they
A
need.
quick follow-up, is the state ready if it has to take on that added responsibility?
I don't know what added responsibility that would be, but again, I think it's important that the states have always maintained the first responsibility anyhow, and it was then a reimbursement from FEMA irrespective. So again, I feel very confident that we're ready for this hurricane season.
You got a question?
Mine's a corollary to that. The National Weather Service has had a series of cutbacks. I believe the number was 600 jobs lost since January 20th. You mentioned them also, and to follow up on the FEMA angle. How confident are you that Louisiana will get the support when there's a storm in the Gulf and help Louisiana be prepared?
Well, look, it's one of the reasons that we have a state climatologist. So if there's cuts being made at the Federal Weather Service or at NOAA, I'm completely confident in Mr. Grimes' ability to give us accurate information. I have not heard from anyone that those cuts are impacting the information that would flow up to the states or flow down to the states when storms are approaching or weather is affecting us. I think that we saw very clearly the advantage of having a state climatologist in the recent 100-year snow event that we had. I think that, hurricanes are things that we can see much further out. I thought that the state did an unbelievable job. I thought our citizens did an unbelievable job of listening and adhering to warnings in an event that was extremely hard to predict. I think that is a great bellwether to see how prepared we are to handle events when Mother Nature comes calling.
Is
Yes.
the state climatologist ready to take on that responsibility of forecasting when a storm's in the Gulf?
Well, I do it with the cooperation and through the guidance of the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center. And I feel confident that our tropical coverage this season will be more than adequate for what we require.
I wonder if any of the folks up there could talk just in general terms about that display of equipment, apparatus, technology in the parking lot and the upgrades that we've seen in the 20 years since Katrina that are on display out there today.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Okay.
No, it'd be better if you're in the mic, please.
Make them happy. First lesson again.
I appreciate the question, sir. So outside of our doors and in the parking lot adjacent to the building is a representation of all the emergency support function apparatus. And it's just a small illustration, physical illustration of capabilities that those agencies bring to bear during an emergency. It also gives us the opportunity to reflect on the interoperability advances that have been made since Katrina. The advent of the Elwyn system, the advent of drone technology, robotics, predictive analysis, and the mobile command centers that just didn't exist 20 years ago during Hurricane Katrina. So I don't know if that adequately addresses your questions you had, sir, if you were something
Well, in
specific
terms
out there.
of, a lot of lessons were learned during Katrina, obviously in the types of equipment that we had and the types of equipment that we didn't have, such as a fleet of high water vehicles, a fleet of boats, for example. So when you look at everything out there, what are some of the upgrades that you see in terms of the
Please,
equipment that's out there?
I mean, to me, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned as governor was during Hurricane, I think it was Francine, right, that affected us last year. It's not so much the equipment that you see out in that parking lot, which is important if other systems fail, but it's the ability to predict or to understand when systems are failing. Last year, I think was the first time when this agency has interacted with the Sewage and Water Board in conjunction with the Corps of Engineers as Francine impacted New Orleans. Those are all those are lessons that we took. In fact, we're working through a common operating picture that will give us the ability to understand if rainfall affects this particular area of Louisiana. What are the drainage systems that are in place to be able to handle that type of rainfall? We working with CIPRA as well to understand when storm surge impacts certain areas of the coast. What are we looking for from a resource standpoint? I think the ability to move those resources closer to the area that will be impacted without impacting that resource is vital to improving the timing that we can get resources to our citizens. So to me, that's the lesson. How can we do it in a manner that brings the resources to bear as quickly as possible and to bring our citizens the relief needed as quickly as possible? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, following up on the GOHSEP in regards to the National Weather Service, I know hurricanes are a little bit more predictable because we can see them farther out. However, recently we've had a lot of tornadoes in our nation that have come quick and fast from what people have said. Do we think those cuts at the National Weather Service will inhibit or able to get, the information out quickly to citizens?
I don't. I mean, those are questions I guess you'd better ask either the White House or that agency. Look, again, I feel very confident in the fact, again, it's one of the reasons that we have a climatologist here. Certainly if Jay believes something is being impacted at the federal level and he notifies me, first thing I'm gonna do is pick up the phone and call the White House.
We have time for one final
Governor?
question.
Yes, sir.
Looking back at Katrina 20 years ago, kind of a two-part question here. A, is it correct to assume that the biggest culprit of all the damage in New Orleans was the failure of the levees? And if so, are the rebuilt levees, are they ready to withstand another powerful hurricane should one come this way this year?
Look, I think it's not only the levees. You got to remember, like we concentrate on the levees because the levees did fail. We know that the Corps of Engineers, with federal money, completely rebuilt the system and continue to strengthen that system as well. But we've got a number of pumps that help to move water off of the streets and the neighborhoods of the city of New Orleans, which pose dangers as well. We get a report from the Corps of Engineers because they maintain and help us operate those pumps. Last time I checked an email that I got from Colonel Jones, I believe that they've been able to refurbish or repair all of the pumps, and I believe they have them all online by the time that hurricane season started a couple of days ago. So again, I am as confident as we could be. Nothing is 100% in this game, but we continue to look around every corner. We continue to turn every leaf. We continue to turn every stone up to make sure that we are prepared, and we just continue to overlook our plans. But again, let me go back and turn this back. The best way that our plan works is if the citizens of this state are as prepared as we are. So again, if you heed the warnings that your local officials give you, if you prepare, get your evacuation plans in order, if you sign up for getagamePlan.org and you go through those lists to see what in those checklists are applicable to your conditions, whether it's a family, individual, seniors, your pets, whether you need special medication or not. We have gone through these checklists and built those checklists in order to help families and citizens prepare for when that emergency comes. So again, the best plan is the one that our citizens prepare and the ones that we're able to implement for them once they are prepared. Thank you.
Just have the one
Colonel Hodges,
off-topic
can we
question.
get one final question, that's it. Okay, Paul.
It's been more than 3 weeks since the escape at the Orleans Justice Center. 2 inmates are still at large. And this is for you or Colonel Hodges. Are you satisfied that everything is being done that can be done to find these escaped inmates? And number two, what do you make of the video that was released yesterday from Antoine Massey trying to plead his case?
Well, look, first of all, I think it's important that the citizens of this state have an appreciation for the amount of hours and work that the men and women, both at the local, federal, and state level, have played in apprehending 8 of the 10 fugitives. These are 10 very dangerous people that 8 of them have now been brought back into custody. They did not leave that jail with the intent of being captured, right? So again, they are the 2 that are left out there. It's the other 8 were all trying to evade law enforcement. I am extremely confident that the Louisiana State Police, in conjunction with our federal and local partners, are going to pick up the other 2 and hopefully shortly. Colonel Hodges?
What'd you make of the video?
You know, if they were truly interested in helping us, they would have probably sided with the reward money instead of posting something on an online platform. All tips, all leads are investigated by law enforcement. As the governor already mentioned, local, state, and federal partners, we're all working seamlessly together. And obviously that did not prevail to be a lead that he was there. Regarding his innocence, everyone has the opportunity to go to court and to have their day, but you can't do it when you leave from being incarcerated and then now you're escaped. So I would just encourage everyone, as we've had before, if you have a tip or a lead, please reach out to Louisiana State Police Fusion Center, the FBI, the ATF, of course our great partner Crime Stoppers, who's provided many leads and help. It's $50,000 per capture for each of the remaining 2. And I would ask the public's help again. No matter how confident we are in our investigation, things change in a moment's notice. And it's usually because someone has helped them. I believe we have 14 people at this time incarcerated for helping those escapees. We just ask to do the right thing for public safety, make the call to one of either state police, FBI, ATF, or our Crime Stoppers, provide us that lead. Don't get online and try to get clicks and shares on one of your platforms. Just contact law enforcement. You'll make your community safe. More importantly, we'll bring those 2 fugitives back to justice, and they will be brought back safely. Thank you.
Does that video aid in capturing Massey? Will it help?
Everything that is forwarded to us helps. We think sometimes, though, it's a distraction. We know it's entertainment for the public or it's interesting. I believe everybody in this room and everybody outside, for the most part, wants the same thing, to bring the 2 fugitives back so we can continue to have public safety across Louisiana. More importantly, those communities where they have family and friends who are producing the online information. But obviously, it's helpful if they were still there, but if they're not there, then it really doesn't help us bring them to capture. And to talk about charges, that's for a judge and a jury to decide when they have their day in court. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. That's it.
Let me just say this to follow that. There's no doubt he's certainly not innocent for escaping out of jail. Okay? And let's just start with that. If you want to plead your innocence, like Colonel Hodges says, there's a court of law that's designed to be able to do that. What I would urge is that those 2 quit the hide and seek game that we're playing, turn yourself in, and you'll be able to have your day in court. My hope is that we are able to, either they turn themselves in or we are able to safely pick them up without anyone being injured. So again, we ask the public to help us. We can close this out by finishing up with the rest of those 2 individuals, and I'm hopeful that we bring them to justice here swiftly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.